All right. So welcome, guys, once again. Good to see all of you. I see quite a bit of you popping up. If you can hear me okay, everything is good, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Um, Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great week so far. Great start to your Monday. So I'm here to do a live on the recent changes in Express Entry. All right. Awesome. Thank you. And as you guys are joining as well, whether you're joining me live or if you're watching the replay after this, let me know in the chat where you're joining me from today. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Hearing well. Great. Great. Happy Monday. You see Andrew Mackenzie's excited about Monday. All right. And I've seen folks joining from Trinidad, Jamaica. Thank you for joining. How many of you are actually in the Express Entry pool? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. Barbados, Grenada, welcome. BC, awesome. Here in Canada, I see someone from Ghana. Welcome, guys. UK, awesome. It's probably night for you now, right? How many of you are actually in the Express Entry pool? If you have an existing profile in the Express Entry system, let me know. So I see who is with us today and how much I need to cover in this session. Okay, so somebody says I am new to all of this. I'm in the Express Entry pool from Jamaica. Okay. I see somebody joining from Saudi Arabia. I am in, but need to boost my points, Amy. Okay, awesome. So I see quite a few of you are in the pool. Some are not. So we kind of have like a split audience here. So what I'm going to talk about today is the changes, right? And you'll see me going back and forth because we're streaming from different devices. So the government of Canada recently announced some very exciting changes, I would say, pertaining to Express Entry. So for those of you who don't know, Express Entry is actually Canada's flagship application management system that Canada uses to manage applications for permanent residency, right? There are 3 programs that are primarily managed through Express Entry, as well as some aspects of the provincial nominee programs are also managed there as well. So if you are not, for those who said, I'm new, I don't know anything about Express Entry, or I don't know anything about permanent residency in general as it relates to Canada, then you may want to sign up for one of our webinars. So we do webinars from time to time, where we'll talk about the different programs and the options that you can consider if you're looking at coming to Canada. And then I would say the alternate to that as well, if there's no existing webinar, like I said, we do them from time to time and we usually would announce them ahead. The other option would be to sign up for an initial consultation. So that consultation would be a one-on-one session with one of our immigration consultants, and we'd be able to do a deep dive into the different programs and specifically create a plan for you personally as it relates to your immigration goals. All right. So to meet the economic goals of Canada, the government has decided to start a category-based round of invitations from Express Entry. So if you're familiar with Express Entry and how it works right now, I would say we have about 2 types of rounds, 2 to 3, I would say 3. So we have the bi-weekly draws that happen, and these are based on your score. They may have like a program specific draw where they will draw candidates from a specific program, or they may have like a draw where they will draw from provincial nominee candidates, right? And they may have like a general draw, right? So that's how it is currently. And then if you're drawn from the pool, obviously, then you are being invited to apply for permanent residency, right? So that's how it works. Now they're introducing the category-based Roundup invitation. And this is where candidates will be invited to apply for permanent residency in Canada based primarily on their work experience, right? So this is where your work experience is going to be golden, right, in you getting an opportunity to be drawn in one of these draws. There are specific occupations that they have announced that they will be targeting. And in addition to that, they will also be targeting people who are French speaking. So if you are bilingual, this would be great for you as well. So ability to communicate in French is one, and then there are specific occupations that will be targeted. And the goal with this for the government of Canada is to make the express entry system more responsive to the changing economic and labor market needs in Canada. Of course, that's the goal of immigration generally, right? Which is to attract skilled workers to Canada, to grow the Canadian economy, and of course, contribute to the labor market. That's the ultimate goal. So the invitations that we know of, that I just mentioned as well, those will continue as they are. They will still continue. They will still do all of the program specific draws and the draws that we are used to. But these category based draws are being introduced, and they decided on the categories based on consultations, right? So they consulted with different stakeholders in the industry, from employers, unions, advocacy groups. They, of course, would have also received input from the provincial and territorial governments in terms of, what are they looking for right now in the labor market? What are the skills shortages and the gaps that we're experiencing? And what will happen going forward? They have released the list of occupations for this year, so 2023. And what will happen is every year they will release a new list of priorities in terms of the occupations that they're trying to attract, right? So that's how it's going to happen. So for 2023, they came out with about 6 categories, 5 types of occupations. So 5 broad categories, I would say, plus the French speaking, right? So we have French language proficiency. That would be one. So that regardless of your occupation, if you have proficiency in the French language, then you would be a candidate that they're trying to attract, right? Regardless of occupation. And then they have the specific occupational categories that they will be doing draws for. So one is healthcare occupations. I think this one was, very obvious. We knew that this one was coming because it's not just in Canada. I think it's, across countries. There's a shortage of healthcare workers, especially like nurses and, practical nurses and so on. So healthcare occupations, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupations, so STEM occupations, basically, trade occupations, transport occupations, agriculture, and agri-food occupations. So those are the different categories that are going to be targeted for 2023, like outside of the draws as we know them. The projection is that the first category-based invitation will happen this summer, right? We're just about there. In theory, we're still in the spring, right? But towards the end of this month, we'll officially be in the summer season. So they said it will start in the summer. So I take that to mean we can expect to see these draws start very, very soon. So of course, if you're in the pool, you want to make sure that your profile is up to date. And if you are not, you want to make sure that you get in the pool, right? So it's either you're in the pool or you're not. But of course, like I always say, if you're not in the pool, you don't have an opportunity to be drawn, right? So you want to make sure that you're there. And again, if you're not sure where that is concerned, definitely check out one of our webinars or schedule an initial consultation for guidance with that. So in terms of the specifics, right, I'm going to touch a little bit on each of these occupations, occupational group rather, that they have mentioned. So the first one, of course, which is not really an occupational group, is just a language proficiency, so French. For you to be considered under this category, so the French language proficiency category, you must, of course, like I mentioned, be able to demonstrate your ability in French. So similar to what would happen for English proficiency, you'll do an English language test. With the French proficiency category, you would need to complete a French language test in order to demonstrate that you're proficient in the language. And there's also a minimum score that you'll need to acquire in each of the areas that are tested. So typically, you're tested on your reading, writing, listening, and speaking, right? So you would have to have a certain level of proficiency in French in order to be considered under that category. And then, of course, have that on your profile. So it's one thing that to have the proficiency, but if you don't have your test results on your profile, then you also would not be considered. So you'd also need to have that as well. The second one is the healthcare occupations. So to be eligible under this particular category, you would have needed to accumulate at least 3 years of experience. Accumulated experience within the past 3 years, I should say, rather. So you must have accumulated at least 6 months experience within the last 3 years, just to clarify, right? And that work experience can be work experience in Canada or outside of Canada, right? So, and they have a list of the occupations. I'll just briefly mention some of them. We actually had a post last week where we actually listed a lot of these occupations that would fall under this healthcare category. So I'll just mention quickly some of them. So of course, like I mentioned before, we have nurses, we have licensed practical nurses, massage therapists, we have dentists, dietitians, chiropractors, like you name it. Once you're in healthcare, one that I see as well is education counselors. We have general practitioners, so like, of course, we have doctors, right? So once your occupation, and there's a long list. So there's a long list of occupations that would fall under the health category. Some of them might be like technicians. So once you work in healthcare and your NOC is within that NOC 0, sorry, just looking at the comments. Yeah, so your NOC would have to be within the tiers that are acceptable for express entry, right? So we have 6 tiers, and the tiers that would be eligible for express entry would be tiers 0, 2, 3, right? So your NOC would have to fall within one of those. But again, you will see the NOC codes and the tiers that are associated with them on the data that we have posted previously. So outside of the healthcare ones, and there's a lot for healthcare. There's like a whole long list. I won't be able to go through all of them, but there's a lot. So once you work in healthcare, then maybe, this is your opportunity to check to see. And personally too, what we have seen for some of our clients that work in healthcare, they have been getting provincial invitations. So through their express entry profiles, they've been getting invitations from province. So even like outside of these draws that are going to happen, I feel like there will be a lot of opportunities for healthcare professionals. So for the clients that we have, we've seen them getting invitations from provincial nominee programs, different nominee programs. And there have been quite a few, I should say, some of them even getting those invitations from multiple provinces as well. And then again, these category-based draws will present another opportunity, right? For STEM, the next category would be STEM occupations. And again, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And again, the eligibility is the same. They must have accumulated at least 6 months continuous work experience within the last 3 years, right? And this work experience can be in Canada or outside of Canada, and it has to be in one of the STEM occupations. And some of them that I can briefly just quickly mention, like we have architects, business system specialists, we have engineers, so different types of engineers, of course, computer and information systems managers, computer engineers, developers, so like computer system developers, data scientists, database analysts. Like once your occupation falls within those STEM categories, you might have an opportunity as well. So it's recommended to be in the pool. The next one is trade. So their trade occupations were always a part of express entry through the Federal Skilled Trades Program. The requirements for this, and remember, these requirements are different from the general requirements to go in the express entry system. To get in the express entry pool, there would be a different set of requirements compared to these, right? So the same thing, having accumulated at least 6 months of work experience, right? Continuous, so it has to be continuous work experience within the past 3 years in the particular occupation. And so for the trade ones, we have, of course, plumbers, carpenters, you name it, welders, anyone that would fall within the realm of a particular trade would fall in this category. Heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning, mechanics, machine fitters, different types of contractors. So they would fall under that category. The next one is the agriculture and agri-food occupations. Canada actually has it's called an agri-food pilot. That's also a very good one as well. And with the agri ones, there are just a few categories, a few occupations that will fall under those. Again, the requirements are the same to be eligible, accumulated at least 6 months of continuous work experience in the last 3 years. And it has to be, of course, in a single, so it cannot be like in different occupations. It has to be in a single occupation, right, of all the ones that we're listing. And remember, I said the list is not exhaustive. I see questions about particular occupations. The list is by no means exhaustive. We had actually posted a previous list of some of the occupations, so I would encourage you guys to go back to that. I'm just really doing it at a very high level. So under the agriculture and agri-food occupation, we have butchers, agricultural service contractors, and farm supervisors, and they have like contractors and supervisors in landscaping or grounds maintenance or stuff like that. So those are some of the occupations that would fall under that category. My takeaway for you guys is, if again, I would reiterate, if you're not in the express entry pool, then of course, if it's a dream to come to Canada, it's just going to be just that, a dream, until you're actually in the pool and you take a certain action, right? And like I said, these draws are, the goal for Canada is to begin this at the start of the summer, in the summer. And they will be a part of our overall system of draws for express entry. Like, it doesn't change anything with how the system currently operates. They will still have the draws based on your score. They will still have, the other draws from the provincial governments and all of that. So all of that will continue. This is just an introduction to another way that you can be drawn from the system. And I think it's very powerful. It's a really great way that Canada can actually match the needs that they have, because remember, the people that they get from the points-based draws, they can be in any occupation, and they may not necessarily be what Canada is looking for or what Canada needs at this very moment. And so the introduction of these category-based draws allow them to really be able to be in a position to select the skilled workers that they need to meet certain shortages or projections. So sometimes it's not necessarily a shortage in a particular area, but it can be a projected shortage. And if you know anything about Canada's labor market, you see that based on what Statistics Canada and other government agencies are projecting, there will be zero growth in Canada's labor market or labor force over the next 10 years, zero growth. And for them to achieve any sort of growth to meet the economical goals of Canada, immigration is the way to go. And so it's a key strategy by the government of Canada, and it will continue for the foreseeable future. And so, of course, what I've also observed is that coming to Canada, like it gets very competitive over time. There are more and more people that are looking to come. So if you can make no be the opportune time for you, that no will always be the best time, right? The programs will change, the rules will change. As you can see, different things and different ways of operating the programs, the manner in which they operate will change. And so it will be to your best benefit to say, well, if you qualify today, make that step today, and so that you can have that opportunity for the future. And also remember, as I always say, it's going to be more of a marathon than a sprint. It's not going to happen overnight. If there's anybody that's telling you that you'll be in Canada, they can help you to get to Canada, overnight or in a very, very short period of time, I would be very cautious. There is a process, right? So there will always be a process, follow through with the process, and it can work out for you. I have seen it work out for many, many, many clients and counting. So it can happen as well, but you will just have to be willing to apply yourself, do what is needed. There will be work required on your side. And once you're willing to put in the work, it can happen, right? And like I said, it does take time. And so if time is a factor for you as well, then you want to also start early. There are more people who are entering these immigration pools as well every single day. And so, of course, if the pool gets very diluted, then your chances will also get diluted, right? Depending on your profile. So I encourage you to start as soon as you can. And if you need any support, send whichever platform you're joining us on, send us a message and someone on my team will respond to you and can direct you further. No, it does not mean that. It does not mean that. So like I said, the draws as they are will continue. These category-based draws will happen starting sometime in the summer. And it does not mean that if you are not in any of these categories, you won't be drawn. It does not mean that. It's just a different type of draw that is being introduced. And I know a lot of people that will benefit. I know a lot of people will benefit from these draws, because sometimes maybe based on score, you might be in the pool for a long time and you're not being drawn because of score, right? But maybe you have work experience in these particular categories that are, no on Canada's radar. So it might be an opportunity. And if you were somebody that was within the current trend where the scores are going, and your profile is you have a high enough score, then I don't see any reason why you wouldn't get drawn if your score is within the cutoff that the government is currently drawing. Let's say that I'm a student, will I be eligible? That's a very, very general question. I wouldn't be able to say whether or not you would be eligible based on just that. And that's why we do a consultation, because in the consultation, I get to ask you a lot of detailed questions, but really just to be able to properly advise you, we would have to have a lot more information and be able to ask additional questions, and so that we can properly advise you based on the requirements of the programs. Because as you can see, like what I just went through, even with these specific draws, there are eligibility criteria, right? And the same thing with going in the pool and being eligible for the pool, there are different criteria that you'll have to meet. So with everything, there's a certain eligibility requirement that you'll have to meet. And when we get to consult with you, we also get to look at different programs, right? Maybe not, maybe Express Entry might not be for you. So it just depends. Express Entry is not for everyone because not everyone will qualify for Express Entry, but Canada has a lot of different programs. In fact, you'll always hear talk about the over 80 program. I think it's closer to 100 now. There's a lot of programs that you can apply for. So it's not just for Express Entry per se, but Express Entry is definitely the primary flagship way for the federal government of Canada. That's a good question. The cutoff will increase because of the new category. It's possible. I would say it's possible because if the people that will be drawn to the category-based draws will be from varying scores, right? Because remember, score will not be the primary factor here. So they will be from varying score. If they have a couple of these draws and they don't have any of the others, like over, with a short or long period of time, it will mean that, yes, the cutoff will go up because you will have people who are going in the pool. You will have people whose scores are going up for whatever reason. Maybe they get Canadian work experience or they're studying Canada or various things, right, that can help to increase the score. So there is that possibility. Yes, it depends on when they do the draw. They say in the summer, how many persons are drawn. Remember, they have an overall target for Express Entry for the year. So there are different factors that will impact the cutoff score. But yes, I think if they have draws and depending on the number of persons that are candidates that are drawn, the score will for sure be impacted. And so what you can do though to proactively help yourself is look at ways that you can increase your scores, right? Or look at other options. And sometimes you just have to be open. Sometimes the options that are available are not necessarily your first choice, but I mean, if it's a goal and if it's the only option available right now, I mean, it's worth considering. List of program options for PR in Canada. I would say go on the Government of Canada's website, canada.ca. You might get lost there, but that's the general website. Outside of that, it would be an initial consultation for us to be able to advise you generally. It's a very general question. Is it easy to get an LMIA in Ontario? That's a very broad question. No, I don't think any immigration question regarding like a specific program is gonna have like a direct answer. There are different things. There are a lot of questions that I would ask you too, even about that particular thing before I could even answer that. Can I do a second consultation, Kay? Well, you're not limited to one consultation, but I don't see your name. Maybe send me an email. I tried to reach out to you guys. How do I get a consultation? So a consultation can actually be scheduled on our website. The website is nccanadaimmigration.com. So it is booked and scheduled on the website. You book online, you'll get a confirmation email of the details of the consultation appointment, the time, and the Zoom meeting information. So our consultations are done virtually through Zoom. So it would be a Zoom consultation, and that's when you schedule as well, you also get a form to complete. So that's where we're able to gather a lot more data, and we can come prepared to ask questions and then to advise you and to guide you with regards to next steps and how to apply. Yeah, I see some of the same questions. Yeah, about consultation. Yeah, it's on the website. So visit the website and go to book a consultation, and then you'll see the options from there. You see the different consultation types. You'll also see the rates. And if you have questions, send a message, and we will definitely respond. Does the Atlantic program have jobs for business professionals? The Atlantic program is very broad, and it's an employer driven program. So it's a program that would require a job offer in order to apply. Can a fire officer apply? I don't see why. I don't see why not. Go over here. Can I defer if I'm invited but don't have full funds to pay at once? I'm not sure what you're asking there. Can you defer what? Do you mean you're deferring your invitation? So it's not a new way to immigrate, it's just a change to the express entry system. So providing candidates in the pool with another opportunity. So another way to be drawn or selected from the pool. The website is nccanadaimmigration.com. And if you're talking about the government website, it's canada.ca. Our website is nccanadaimmigration.com. Or if you have general questions, feel free to send an email to admin at nccanadaimmigration.com or info@nccanadaimmigration.com. All right, guys, I think that's a wrap for us. Thanks for joining me today. I trust you are able to benefit from the information. And like I said, feel free to reach out, send a message on whichever platform that you're on, and my team will reach out to you or send an email. You may get a quicker response via email. We do get a lot of messages as well. And it takes time for my team to go through it. So please be patient if you don't get a response right away on whichever social platform you're on. It does take time to go through all the messages. Yeah, the cost is there too. The cost is there too. Awesome. Thank you guys for your usual support, and we'll catch up with you on our next live.